Okay, guys, welcome back to the show. So today we have a guest with us, and we'll let him introduce himself.
Yes, my name is Victor Bomi. I'm a real estate investor here in Atlanta, Georgia. Graduated from the University of West Georgia with a degree in finance.
Woo, West Georgia, go Wolves.
Yeah, go Wolves.
Go Wolves.
Welcome to the show. Thank you for being a part of it. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So you said you were a finance major?
Yeah. I studied finance at the University of West Georgia.
When did you graduate?
Yeah, I was going to ask, when did you graduate?
I graduated in 2014. My college path was a little bit interesting. Initially, I wasn't doing finance at first. I am also Nigerian, so my background. Hey. But basically, my mom actually pushed me into pre-med. So in our culture, they always talk to you about either being like a doctor, engineer, lawyer, one of those occupations.
Sounds very familiar.
Yeah. So, initially I took a couple of those classes for about the first 2 years in college. And then once I got into physics, chemistry 1, chemistry 2, and all those labs, then I was like, this isn't really what I want to do. And also, excuse me, I realized I wasn't really passionate about those things. So that was really kind of the major factor that led me to change my major to business. And also around that time, I had also got involved with a few projects, whether it was network marketing and other business ventures that really ignited my passion for business. And I realized really quickly that, what I really enjoyed doing was being around people. I enjoyed creating. I enjoyed just the world of business in general and entrepreneurship. So, ended up kind of, deciding to change my major to management and marketing. I took a couple of classes in that for about a year. And also I was like, this is still kind of very basic for me. I felt like the information was very generalized, and I felt like it was stuff that I could actually just learn just by actually doing business. So I decided to switch it to finance because I really wanted to learn about money, learn about investing, learn about different asset types and asset classes, maybe why investors choose, certain assets over the other. And really, I'm also passionate about financial empowerment and financial literacy. So, everything kind of just fell in line. And, I ended up switching to finance, and that led us to where we are today.
Okay, great.
That's interesting. So I have a question. I know that you said that you weren't passionate, but when do you remember, was there an exact moment where was there an exact moment where you felt like, what, this is it, I can't do this anymore?
Yeah, I would, it was really once I got into the chemistry classes, and then, I started really sitting down and thinking okay, what's really going to happen after I go into this thing deeper. I'm going to graduate from school. I'm going to try to get into medical school. Medical school is going to be how many years? 4 years, 5 years, or whatever. And then after that, you do your residency. Yeah. So pretty much it's almost like a 9 to 10 year process.
Yeah.
And I was just I wasn't willing to sacrifice my 20s. I did the math, and I was like, nah, there's more for me than just doing that, basically. And I just kind of quickly realized that as the deeper I went into it, that it really wasn't something that I wanted to do, and it just didn't really maximize my skill sets as a person. I felt like my skill sets translate better in the world of business than it does in the world of medicine.
It's pretty impressive that you realized that at a very young age.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know that till they're done with college, and they're trying to figure out.
Till when they're in their residency and realize, crap, what I do? Yeah. That's amazing. That's very impressive.
So it's crazy. I had something that happened that I ended up doing. So in between all of that, kind of trying to figure out myself, I took a year off in the year 2013. So 2012 was actually when I actually started my real estate business, but it wasn't until 2013 that I was able to really fully get into it. Prior to that, I was still kind of doing a little bit of entrepreneurship type stuff on the side. I had a hustle. I was doing photography. I was doing, even actually consulting as well, helping people with their branding and their business development. And, doing those things, I enjoyed it because I just like the idea of being able to create something from nothing, being able to go after your dreams. And, that's kind of the basis of all of that. So in the year 2013, I took a year off from school because that was when I was really kind of confused, like, oh my gosh, I have all these ideas and all these things that I want to do, but no real sense of direction as far as what I really wanted to focus on. So that was what allowed me to really figure it out, because that year I was able to just focus on myself. I didn't have school or any homework or anything like that to just weigh down my brain. So by the time I went back to West Georgia in 2014, I was laser focused. My last year there, like, I didn't have any social life whatsoever. I didn't do anything. It was go to my class, get out of class, go back to my apartment.
Because at this point, you had a goal in mind. So.
Exactly. So that was kind of, I would say what really helped me was kind of being able to take that gap year off and, figure myself out. And one thing I would advise people, especially young people and millennials, is that it's okay to not have it all together, right? And even if you're older, 25, 30, whatever the case may be, it's okay. Sometimes you need to just kind of unwind and unplug from whatever it is that you might have going on that is, kind of cluttering your vision, to really allow you to sit down and decide, okay, these are all the ideas I have. Brainstorm, put everything in front of you, write it down, or put it on a whiteboard and say, okay, why do I want to do this? So the other thing I would also say is you have to have a inherent reason why you want to do whatever it is you want to do. Everybody has different types of motivations for why they do what they do. So if you understand that right from the very beginning, I think that it's a little bit easier to go into a specific career path, because you already know, okay, this is what I'm looking to achieve out of it. Even though you may not achieve that goal instantly, you know that, it's something you can work towards. So it actually gives you that motivation to get up each day to strive towards achieving that.
Yeah. And I think that's so important, because I feel like as Nigerians, and I'm sure Indians are like, India's like this too, where we feel this pressure to achieve, finish college, to be successful, finish college in 4 years. Yeah. Any longer than 4 years.
Graduate by the time you're 21.
Graduate by 21, be going to med school or law school or whatever.
Or masters of some sort,
so there's a timeline that you're supposed to achieve. And if you don't, you kind of are like, maybe I'm a failure and I'm not achieving what I'm supposed to be, doing. So.
But do you mind giving us your timeline just so that it puts perspective for our listeners?
Right. I'm sorry. Could you repeat
no, what was your timeline? Like,
what was your,
when you
as
started,
in, like, when did you start college until now? Until now.
Okay. So the timeline for when I first started college was I actually graduated from high school in the year 2008. I used to live in Alabama before I moved to Atlanta. So literally the next day that I graduated from high school, we moved to Atlanta. It was so crazy. Like, my mom, they didn't even tell us. We moved to Atlanta. So fairly, it was like a surprise. But 2009 was when I got to West Georgia.
So you were 19?
Because I went through that process of, changing majors, basically changing my major twice. It actually prolonged my timeline from when I graduated for about like a year and a half, maybe, because I ended up taking summer classes. And by the way, if anybody's listening, don't take accounting in the summer, man. It's crazy. But, so I ended up taking summer classes to help me, kind of speed things along. So from 2009 to 2014, including that gap year, is, how long it took me to finish.
Okay, so you started college when you were how old? 18? 19?
I started college when I want to say, when I was actually 16 or 17.
What?
Okay, that's like me. Yeah. Okay, cool.
You started college when you were 16?
I was 16 in freshman year.
No.
Yeah, like I was young. Like I was.
What?
Wow. Okay. It was 16 or 17.
How'd you graduate high school at 15? Because I mean,
what'd you say?
How did you graduate high school at 15? Because
he moved
normal
from,
graduation.
You moved from Nigeria, right? That's probably why.
So when I first came to this country, I guess they made me take a test when I first came to this country when I was young, and I guess whatever that test was, it determined that I was a little bit ahead of my age group. So they put me up like at least a grade up than I was really supposed to be in. So I was always the youngest in my high school class. You know, it was always interesting, you know, being the youngest, but it didn't faze me. I mean, growing up in this country, especially as a Nigerian immigrant, was an experience in itself, especially in Alabama. So that was definitely it was an experience, and you know, so I mean, but the type of person I am, you know, I'm adventurous. I'm open to challenges, open to just new things, and I embrace it. You know, I embrace people. I don't really care where you're from, you know, and I think that's also something that helps me in business. You know, so I'm not the type of person that looks at people because of maybe their ethnicity or their tribe or their background or their skin color or whatever the case may be. You know, as long as you're someone who, you know, shares similar values as me, you know, I find that it makes it easier for me, whether it's in my personal life or my professional life.
Yeah. Okay, so let's get into your business. So it's funny. I'm sure I told you this. I was just browsing and I saw your article or the article about you on Black Enterprise, and I was like, oh my God, I know this dude. Like, that's so cool.
Right.
So that's why we wanted to get you on the show. So could you tell us about your business and your company, and you know, how'd you get the idea and why'd you start it?
Absolutely. So my first company, I actually own a couple of different companies at this moment. They're all related and centered around real estate. The one that you saw that got featured on Black Enterprise is called ATLCO Real Estate Incorporated. I first got into real estate, like I mentioned earlier, in 2012. And really, I always known that in some way, shape, or form, I'm going to do real estate. I didn't know when I first started what it was, but I didn't know that I didn't want to be an agent. So right from the very start, I knew I didn't want to be a real estate agent, because in my mind, what is a real estate agent doing? They're just driving around, showing people houses, you know, and like my brain was all jacked up when it comes to what a real estate agent does. And it just seemed like it was so boring to me, because I felt like you basically deal with people and they're picky, you know, needs, and you know, I don't like this house, take me to the next one. You know, that was just kind of my idea of what a real estate agent does. And you know, through my research, you know, I knew that, you know, there's other ways to get into real estate besides being an agent that actually allow you to make much more money. So real estate investing, you know, was that thing, you know, without me even knowing right from the very start that, you know, that's what it was that I was looking for. So when I first started, basically I had two mentors. I had one that was a developer and rehabber. I had another guy who was what you called a real estate wholesaler. And really, I was being mentored, but I didn't know I was being mentored, because when I got in, I just started, you know, taking action. And pretty much what we were doing was we were getting properties and turning it around and reselling them to Wall Street companies, private equity, hedge fund companies that were buying a bunch of properties here in Atlanta. So, you know, it was really a blessing in disguise, because really when I first started, you know, I learned from everybody I started with, you know, and one thing that I did subconsciously, I didn't know that I was doing it, but I really just kind of picked a few good people to work with when I first started. The one thing that, you know, I'll always tell people when I talk about real estate is a people's business. It's a relationship business, and you last longer when you build long-term relationships. Like if you come into it trying to think of how you can get over on the next person or how you can screw somebody over, you know, and you might